I can't hear you.
You are muted.
Durgam?
Hello?
Yes.
You hear me?
Now I
Okay.
hear something.
Did I share the whole screen right now?
Yes.
You see the full screen?
We
Yes.
see full screen, and to all the listeners,
Okay.
we will continue with the same mode that we successfully
Okay.
practiced before.
Okay.
Please write your questions into the chat so that we can collect them and easily.
Okay. So thanks for having the panel and event. Around a year ago, two shocking facts unfolded in the heart city of Baghdad, specifically in Al-Umma Park in the right side of the slide, if you see it, and Al-Mutanabbi Street, which is one of the most important cultural streets in Baghdad. First, urban life in Al-Umma Park died after 11 a.m., turning it into an abandoned area and very dangerous area, not only for its immediate vicinity, but also posing risks to nearby areas and neighborhoods. Second, despite its rich cultural heritage as a lively market located on Al-Mutanabbi Street, the street almost died daily after 3 p.m., except for a few shops and a few cafes along its edge. Today, I will be sharing with you effective strategies for revitalizing, developing, and activating abundant urban areas. We will explore the methods, the techniques that we used for revitalization processes, providing a clear understanding of how neglected areas and spaces can be transformed into vibrant one. So my presentation will consist of three main parts entitled Revitalization Urban Course. First, I will define some terms and topics that already were defined by our colleagues in the first panel, but I think and I believe it is necessary to redefine them again based on other viewpoints and perspectives. Second, I will discuss the cases that we have addressed and developed in the city of Baghdad. And finally, I will show you what can be done and what should be done in such cases in the future. So before go into the details of the presentation, I would like to highlight and define some terms, important terms such as city, city form, urban form, and also the revitalization process. This is the aerial view of the city of Baghdad, and see how we can move from micro to macro scales. So we're going to begin with the old and the new question is, what is a city? It is surprisingly, I can say, difficult to define, considering that we all know what a city is and recognize it when we are in one. To address this important question and to explore what others say. In today's world, Piero Costello, he was a professor of architectural history at the University of Berkeley, California, Berkeley. Unfortunately, he passed away in the early age because of one cancer. He was a famous architectural and urban historian. He offered 9 points, 9 statements defining a city. And I will focus on only 5 of them. That's the purpose of this presentation. So cities are places where certain energetic crowding of people should be available all the time. And cities come with a cluster of buildings that define the scale of built up area from neighborhood to district into a city. cities are places that have some physical limits. Sometimes it come like all cities, walled cities with the wall, and you have to define yourself inside the wall or outside the wall. However, nowadays we have mega cities that expanded over all cities in Middle East and Islamic Arab era. Cities are places favored by a source of income. Many people consider cities as
Sorry, I cannot hear you anymore. How about the
I
others?
think we lost him over.
Oh, I'm talking to you now from my iPhone. Just give me a few seconds. I think my internet is unstable. Just a few seconds. You hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. One more time. Connection. Okay. Just 1 second, please. Please, could you let me get inside? I think I asking you now.
Yeah, I'm ready.
Yeah, now you are inside. Yes.
Okay, got it. Giant computer radius. So I'm good now. I will close the camera just because the internet it looks like has some problems. One second, please. Okay, I'm back to you now.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Full screen.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think here. I stopped here.
Okay.
Okay, so get back to you. So just one again, Steve, our place is made up with buildings and people, and we see how we can move from
Maybe we have lost you again. At least I cannot hear you.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
I'm good now. Sorry for this interruption. You hear me now?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, okay. So I'm talking once again about the scale, how architects should be dealing with the buildings, while urbanists and urban designer with the relationship between spaces and communities of people, and of course, planners have to deal with large scale with people, mega structure and infrastructure, large designs of transportation. Amar G. Kanzan, in his study, study in town plan, also he is a well-known German geographer, and he established the School of Morphology in Britain. He introduced a core concept in town plan analysis. He emphasized the essential of three fundamental urban elements: streets, plots, and buildings, along with their functions and activities. These elements not only allow the analysis of urban form, but also the analysis and understanding the town plan itself. Probably most of you know this guy, Bill Hillier. He's pioneered the space syntax approach for developing our understanding to the built environment. His operational and mathematical methods analyzing spatial layouts, the spatial relationship between built objects, provided valuable insights into the interact connections between space and society. Hillier's focus on urban spatial arrangement, urban spatial configuration in the built environment led to refined knowledge revealing the relationship between space and society. So as you see here, different urban forms, different urban shapes by diverse physical features in size, shape, scale, density, land use, building types, blocks, layouts, and the green space distribution. So the urban form also includes more intangible aspects like culture, tradition, rituals, and economy. While a city, once again, covers a broad range of aspects, including its population, culture, governance, and macro socioeconomic activities. So the urban form, as it is a component of what makes up a city. So we talked about the city form and the urban form, and now I would like to say something about revitalization processes that carried out on the urban cores. This is old Baghdad, the two parts of Al-Karf and old Rasafa. The two parts were emerged and developed on the two banks of river Tigris that divided the city of Baghdad into two parts, the two nuclei that made up the city of Baghdad, the current city that we know nowadays. So revitalizing urban cores refer to the process of renewing and redeveloping the central parts of a city as well as important nuclei. This is involved improving infrastructure, renovating buildings, promoting economic growth, enhancing public spaces, and encouraging a sense of community. So the general goal of this process, the development process, is to make the urban core more attractive, more livable, and economically viable, and it's commonly, it's often achieved by investment and initiatives by governmental programs, businesses, and community organization, and of course, the public participation. I mean, here, as our colleagues in the first panel say, the real public participation. They refer to this term in their representation in embedded way. It is always influenced by the urban life, which includes the socio-economic and cultural forms, patterns, and practices. So between 2021 and 2022, a high-level committee was established to oversee the development of the city of Baghdad and was headed by the Prime Minister of Iraq at that time. Its focus was on strategic cultural issues, and the project aimed to revitalize the whole city. We were dealing with them and working with them at that time. So the committee collaborated with the Prime Minister group and set goals for revitalizing and developing cultural centers, historical areas, and key urban intersections as shown on the map. You see there are 3 groups of spots, the red ones in the first phase and the orange one in the second, and lastly with the yellow one, which will be developing at the third time. However, despite the extensive planning processes and meetings, unfortunately, the urban development and revitalization to proceed according to the initial plan due to the political change and political agenda. However, yet some projects were completed, and today we will discuss 2 of these projects, 2 of these cores. As mentioned before, the second part of this presentation go into and delve into 2 crucial cases studies that differ in terms of shape, size, location, and function, stakeholders as well as the users. Despite these distinctions, both cases followed the same development process, the same identical steps that we used, and urban methods and techniques we applied. So we will start with the Al-Umma Park, a site of great historical and cultural significance for the Iraqi people. And the second one, again, will be centering around one of the most vital cultural streets, not only in Iraq, but also in the Middle East, which is Al-Mutanabbi Street. For each case, a brief description will be provided, followed by steps taken during the development processes, and then the study concludes with the results that we achieved and some suggestions that we found after the completion of the 2 projects. So after meeting with the stakeholders and those in charge, we defined the core problems. We conducted site observation to understand the social, economic, commercial, and cultural patterns and the practices carried out there. This helped a lot us to identify users and observe interactions among passers-by. We also carried out field surveys to update the information on land uses and function and activities at that time. In addition, a questionnaire was distributed to stakeholders, including governmental groups and property owners, as well as the users, to understand their needs and expectation and to make their participation real, especially for the users and property owners. Following that collection, and we organize the information based on urban layers and the varieties, and finally implemented the solution using various design methods and techniques. I will come over this later in the next. So this is the Al-Umma Park, a huge intersection in Baghdad. A green area is located in the middle of the city in the CBD or Central Business District of Baghdad, and next to Al-Hurra Square, where all the demonstrations are were and are happening till now. So the park itself is surrounded by 2 different urban patterns, 2 different urban structures, modern graded in the right side and the organic historic urban pattern in the left side, which were modified later and developed through modern planning practices, including graded streets, rectangular and urban blocks, and concrete tall buildings. Here is the land use distributions. As you see, the park surrounded by commercial and institutional, few institutional activities. Regardless, it's important as a central urban green area in the middle of the city. It is surrounded also and included important landmark and statues. And here are the most
recording in progress.
Famous one. Liberty statues, the peace moral, and the statue of mother. These are the most recognized features and statues, again related to the Iraqi culture and history. Due to prolonged periods of wars, civil conflicts, and terrorist attacks, the vital urban green area at that time has become an unstable environment, and these incidents have led to an increase in sexual harassment, kidnappings, and the presence of organized robbery groups. So the security measures have weakened, creating a hazard situation. As a result of that, this urban area has been abandoned and the life mostly ceased again by early hours in the morning. And only few groups, we know that male pacifiers venture there through this area, considering it as a transitional zone when they want to move from one area to another. So on the left, the original area and the development one on the right. We conducted a survey and visited various times, several visits to understand the people, the nature of people who are there or who are surrounding the area. Our upcoming development project aimed to understand why this area has been abandoned. So around 70% of the respondents were doubtful because previous development efforts between the 1990s and 2010s did not solve the issue. They doubt our plans, and 16% suggested closing the area for safety purposes, for safety reasons, due to ongoing problem, and only 14% encourage us to proceed, hoping for positive change and good advantage for them. People lack of faith stems from past and successful project. They had not good idea about previous development. To initiate the development process, we consulted shop owners and local authorities, specifically around the transportation station in the down of the map, and the adjacent area along with the two sides of the park. The majority of them resisted changing their activities content with their existing businesses. A few agreed with our proposal that serve the people who we are targeted. The primary reason for resistance was their focus on serving the people around the area and the neighborhoods, not the people who are crossing or who wanted to stay in the park or accessing the park. So we moved to another crucial urban activity, which is the mobility. After observing the mobility patterns, we found that the people avoided too long paths due to the locations of the two dangerous tunnels. I'll show you later, forcing them to either risk crossing the streets or retreat again. So they didn't want to spend lots of effort for getting and goes and back. This lack of movement indicated the significant need for safer spatial connection, and we do analysis and took the plan to the software to understand the visual connectivity, the visual accessibility, the visual integration between the streets. So we digitized the map and run it by space syntax analysis, by DefMap software to understand the pattern of movement, and also to understand the hierarchy, as you see in the map in the right, the hierarchy between the core or main streets, secondary, and the residential paths, as well as the physical and visual connectivity, and also the physical connectivity. So we run the map and we understand the pattern based on the syntactic properties of the spatial configuration, and highlighted the most connected area, the most integrated street, as you see now in the ellipse. And from there, we moved to create two paths in the red, as you see, to let the people get and moved. So to address this, we decided to create shaded paths connecting both sides, encouraging the mobility of people and the accessibility. We also removed dense green areas to enhance visual connectivity and making the park visible from all sides, from all angles, implementing bike lanes, walkable paths, and visual connections. Also, we get back to the original plan implemented in the 1950s, which had a great water body in the middle. So these changes significantly improve the accessibility and visual connectivity, attracting families and visitors. So if you see the blue spots, this is the dangerous area, and some people didn't cross the trees because it's two tunnels that connected the two neighborhoods. Also, lighting in the park, including night scene, landscape design, and status lighting, enhance the area's vitality, keeping people engaged in extended periods. As a result of that development, now people stay in the park from the a.m. up to the 1 a.m. in the second day, appreciating the safe environment, the well-structured accessibility, and the attractive sitting area that we have created and revitalized this vital urban place. So I move now to the second case, Al-Mutanabi Street, which is the core of Baghdad's cultural market, teeming with trade in books and diverse fields, and it stands as a cornerstone of Baghdad life, specifically on Fridays over weekends. People get there, gather, interact, and transact socially and culturally. This vibrant street transports its visitor to a realm filling with culture, arts, poetry, and enriching social gathering. Its hosts cultural centers and heritage sites host these events, forming an amazing environment to provide unique cultural experiences. Like many of important urban cores in Baghdad and Iraq, the street has faced many challenges, including functional infrastructure and destruction issues, along with repeated tourist attacks since 2003. These difficulties have disrupted the life on the street for an extended period. Despite multiple attempts to rebuild the street, the efforts put and to have been mostly incomplete, focusing on minor modifications, infrastructure repairs, and building restoration after attacks. Once again, similar to Al Park, the street's activity primarily revolved around bookshops, stationery stores, and vendors selling educational staff and supplies. All of them insisted to continue with their businesses. In addition to that, some commercial establishments like restaurant and cafe were also present along the streets, which stretched from Rashid Street to the river. Here is the gate that and the renovated one. And returning to the development process and exploring the questionnaire outcomes based on the respondents received, 67 believe that the plan change will not bring anything new, and we will revert to the current state soon, which is typically they work with limited times of interacting and transacting, mainly over weekends. And 24% support change, but expect limited impact due to the current situation of lack of maintenance, lack of well-structured infrastructure, and lack of design lighting. However, only 9% are optimistic and suggest recognizing the space collaboratively. So we get proposals from them for dual working hours, emerged adding spaces and dividing the spaces in the streets for the vendors and accommodating and adapting new kinds of activity, new kinds of functions, especially in the evening and night. So they guide us to create these areas and divide it based on the paved of streets and the paved of sidewalks, and divided them based on the material and create some shaded area. So a new kind of street vendors, such as faces painter, musicians, food vendors, and juice sellers, because of the collaborative work and negotiation, are useful for us to support their choices. It is, the collaborative process is helping you a lot when you gonna make your decision and choice based on the desire and requirement of the public. And the public, once again, should be real public participation. There are more photos, more scenes that show you how the street create a new kind of life in the night. Overall, the development campaign has successfully revitalized Al-Mutanabbi Street, turning it into an effective cultural and entertainment urban core. It extends working hours, provide wide opportunities for people of all ages and economic backgrounds to engage in artistic and cultural activities and enjoy the vibrant life of the street in the night. In sum, I would like to conclude here: to comprehend an urban form's essence, one must delve into its physical features and other urban layers, including socio-economic, environmental, cultural, and traditional forms and patterns. These urban forms and layers are mutually intertwined, shaping one another through relationships. So certain relationships can give rise to novel urban patterns, such as social and economic and cultural practices. In contrast, some interactions do not lead to significant change. In the latter case, we refer to this as urban core transformation, exemplified by the Al-Mutanabbi Street, which produce a new kind of function, a new kind of relationship, a new kind of pattern based on socio-economic connections. In the former scenario, we witness stability as seen in well-established urban areas like Al-Umma Park. However, both examples, both processes recognized as a successful development, demonstrating the dynamic interplay of urban elements. And I will end with this. Read it for you in the slide. Some interactive relationships among urban forms create new urban relations and patterns, as in Mutanabbi Street case, while others do not, as Umma Park. Thank you so much, and I will open now